And welcome back to the Pit Sports Talk here on 88.3 WXOU Auburn Hills. You've heard me talk about this new intro that I've debuted, what was it, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, before, around, I think it was the last week of the fall semester. And I'm a big fan of this intro, and I had a buddy of mine compose it, and you've heard me mention him on the air before. His name's Kevin Spies. I've been promising to get him in here for the last, month and a half, and finally, I've got the gentleman sitting right here next to me. How are you, Mr. Kevin Spies?
I'm well.
So, I gotta ask you, I mean, obviously, we're gonna introduce you to my audience, but before we even get into that, I want to ask, how did you make this just pretty epic-sounding beat? I really like it. It's only a minute long, but it's pretty tight.
Well, it's composed. I used a program running on my Mac called Reason, and it's Reason 5 for this particular edition of the program. And what it is it just supplies you with multitudes of any kind of instrument that you could possibly imagine, and tons of editing capabilities to produce what you heard. So
now you've been using that for a while, because I remember a couple of years ago, you got a version of it. You let me use it. Yeah. Played with it a little bit. It's still on my desktop at home, but you've been a musician now for, let's see, I've known you for 12 years, and pretty much that entire time you've been playing guitar, singing. You've done it all.
Yeah, it's been about that long now. I picked up my first guitar when I was 11 years old, and I played for 6 hours a day when I first had got the thing. And only a few years later, I was teaching already, and I've been teaching for 7-8 years now. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, you've been teaching for quite a while. I remember when you were still a senior in high school, for example. You know, me and your brother Matt. But my listeners heard me talk about a guy named Bear. Kevin is his younger brother. You know, I remember when we graduated, me and your brother. You were in high school, and you were teaching kids guitar lessons for a little bit of extra money, and that's cool. And you went to the same high school we did, you know, in Algonac, Michigan.
Yep.
You know, you've got a really unique sound. I mean, I've seen you experiment with a lot of stuff. You know, it's really hard for me to sit here and talk to you about it because I've known it all, whereas my listeners don't. So I think you need to take a moment to just tell us about yourself altogether. Like, how old you are. You know, tell us about your girlfriend. Tell us about, I don't know, your favorite colors.
Well, I don't really have a favorite color. Although I am a fan of red, but I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily call it favorite. Anyway, yeah, I've pretty much tried a ton of different stuff. I mean, even back to when I remember still middle school band, I used to play the saxophone, and that's a little bit outdated for me now. But I even back as far as elementary school, I was dabbling around on a recorder, but I'm sure a lot of people were doing that around that time. But yeah, as middle school hit, I was in band, and I just I deepened my knowledge in music there by playing the saxophone and playing guitar along, the same time as that, and just learning. But then during the high school years, I just kept messing around more with guitar and singing, and I ended up by the end of right after I graduated, actually, I ended up producing my first full-length album entitled "Speak Clearly." And I believe you've played that song, Speak Clearly, on the station before.
See, when I played that song on the station, it was back in October 2010, and I was only a part of WXOU for pretty much, like, that month. I ended up having to move up north for, the last year up until this past fall. I've been in Traverse City. But I had, I think it might have just been Speak Clearly. And actually, you were in a band called Years of Decadence. I think I had Nightmare in there, too. So.
Yep, I was. We did that band for a couple of years and just playing shows, for the most part, all around Michigan, as far out as, and we were going out to Ann Arbor, and we went up to Central Michigan and played some shows up there.
I remember when you guys first started that Years of Decadence project, you had that awesome show in Steve Transmontaine's barn.
Yes, his barn. Yeah, the barn show was That was something for sure. It was a different experience. So.
And just so my listeners know, the name I just mentioned, Steve Transmontane, he was their lead singer.
Yes.
And that was a pretty rowdy night.
Yeah, it was.
You had like 500 people crowded in literally a little stable.
Yeah, it was definitely a one-time experience, I would say. It's going to be hard to repeat a show like that, just through the natural side of that and just how raw and natural the show was. So.
Yeah. No, we'll come back to that, and I kind of want to ask you about your experiences with like live events, live shows. But before we get into that, we should probably talk about how, like, just all the different projects you've done. You've mentioned the Speak Clearly album. We talked about, it's slipping my mind, Years of Decadence. Mm-hmm. But you've also been in a couple other bands, a couple other projects. You've been playing for a church band for pretty much your entire life.
Yeah,
so.
I try and do a little bit of everything and just I guess keep my options open as far as music, because that's how music is. You really just have to keep an open mind when playing or listening to anything. It's really, I think, a really important aspect to have, and just enjoy it for its artistic potential. But yeah, I've done a little bit of everything. I've been in all sorts of projects. My solo stuff being more acoustic, light rock, pop style. The band being a little bit heavier. We even get into some breakdowns and screaming type stuff, which appeals to certain crowds. I'd like to do in the near future possibly an instrumental album with some ambience and stuff. So really just music is such a large spectrum as it is, and I guess that's why I try and keep my feelers spread out, so to speak, as far as just different sounds that you can create in the music world.
With that being said, then what are some of your influences in the music world?
Really everything. I guess that's how, even being a solo artist, influence works. You just you kind of go by the moment, by what you're feeling. What different emotions are what will arise depending on your situation, your circumstance. As we mentioned earlier, back from Algonac, where I guess we're both from there. There's a lot back there that just kind of adds for inspiration, even being such a small town, but yet there's just so much to it, and that's kind of like music. You take something as simple as a song, and but listening to it over and over, depending on the listener, you'll get a different feeling and a different perspective, and that's really the cool thing, just behind music in general. You listen to a song and you might pick something out of it different than I might, and so that's kind of how I branch off with inspiration. I just go kind of by what I'm feeling and kind of what I'm going through, depending on the certain situation.
I like how you mentioned Algonac there. I have a story that I do like to tell every once in a while. It's not really a good story, but it's kind of got it plays into what you just said about being from Algonac and how that's had an influence for you and everything. There was this one time, to paint the picture for people who haven't been to Algonac, it's not a place that I like personally, and you know that, Kevin.
That's right.
But it is actually a nice place to live, and they have this beautiful riverfront boardwalk, and what was it? For years, we used to go up there and just play guitars. I remember one night we were out there till 3:30 in the morning, and the cops came just to tell us to shut up.
Yep.
But there was this one time, it was me, you, your brother, Steve, and just I'd say that there were probably about 10 other people, but there were about 3 other people. You and a couple of those other people were all playing guitars. I think your brother was too. But all of us were singing Drive by Incubus.
Oh,
and it was just even for me, I'm not shy, but I don't like to sing in front of people. I mean, there's been times when you've tried to get me to sing just in front of you, and I kind of blow you off because I refuse to do it. But, it's been... And that was one of those times where you just brought everyone together with music. I mean, granted, it wasn't your song, and it was a whole group of people doing it together, but, that was a fun time, and we kind of did it because that's where we did our that's where you guys anyway did your music, and that's where I came to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what the whole inspiration behind it is. Music, it will inspire you to do things that you maybe normally wouldn't have, and it's a common ground for people. Music brings people together, and just allows you just to have that free spirit and just to kind of join in and, just do things together, and, it creates, like I said, just that common ground between people, which is another reason why, everyone has their specific music preferences, but it's a way to relate, and relating to people is very important. So
yeah. Now, still speaking on influences, I know you record a lot of like cover videos, and like you do a lot of cover songs that you put on.
I am on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, and I've noticed lately, for the last couple of months, you've been covering a lot of City and Color. You're a big Dallas Green fan.
Love Dallas.
Yeah. So I want to know how much of an impact that particular musician has, at least on your style, because some of your acoustic stuff, not all of it, by any means, not all of it, but some of it kind of has like the same kind of like style Mr. Dallas Green has.
Yeah, Dallas. I just saw him about a month or two ago now, at the Fillmore, and but yeah, he definitely is a huge inspiration to I guess my writing in general currently. But yeah, he actually had posted a video before his third most recent album just came out, and I thought it was just really I just like the way, first of all, he just writes and composes music, but also just his input and his thoughts behind the music, which is also very important. And his first album, I've been following it right from the beginning, and he just is a very, very good artist. And in the first two albums I fell in love with, and this third one, he stepped it up a notch and did some more full band sounding stuff. And but I thought it was interesting the way he explained it is, he said there'd be some people who might fall off and fall, I guess, out of love with his music. And then there'd be other people who had never even heard him who would, who are going to come in and listen and just fall immediately in love with it. So he's not afraid to hurt or disappoint people. He's a true musician. He writes with passion. He writes, even though his sound changed, that's still his music. And, you may still like him and have liked him all along, such as myself, or you might have liked the first two albums and not so much like the third album. Or if you don't know who City and Color is, you might want to take a, listen, and kind of take your own perspective and stand on it. But I just think that that's really the passion that drives the music for him to say something like that, it doesn't matter. He's not for just the show. He's not an artist just, trying to go out there and play shows for you to make money, but he writes because that's what he's feeling. That's in his moment. And, and
it's what he loves to do.
Exactly. And whether you choose to attach to that or not, that's your choice. But just to know and understand that it doesn't affect, his integrity to write, I just think that's very cool.
See, and it's great that you understand that, because a lot of people don't. Most people are just casual fans of music. Even the people who say that their lives are driven by music, half of them are just, pretty much lying about it. Your life legitimately is. I mean, you just sat here and you got really excited to talk about Dallas Green for about a minute and a half straight, and but you weren't so much talking about him so much as how, like, his passion for his art has rubbed off on you. Mm-hmm. And not to mention, I know for a fact that everyone that's been in your life has rubbed off on you in some way.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen your dad play instruments like guitars. Doesn't even have a violin.
Yeah, I play violin actually a little bit too. Yeah.
Your brother Matt plays the bass, guitar. I know he can play piano. I'm sure you can too.
Yep.
Your younger brother Brian, Can't he at least play the drums? I remember him. He used to have a drum set. So.
Yeah, we were working on him on the drums for a while, and he's currently playing guitar, and I believe he's also in a band class or something. But yeah, music just really surrounds my life, I guess. So I can truly say that it does influence my everyday and my walk in life, because everything I do in some way, shape, or form will resolve around music, whether it's listening to it in the car as I drive, or whether it's writing music, or whether it's getting together and playing music with others, or even simply like we're doing now, just talking about music. So really, it does literally surround my entire life, and it is a very important thing to me. So
yeah, that's a great thing though. I mean, you've been doing this for a while. I mean, before we came on, you were saying that you might look into attending Oakland University just to take music classes.
Right.
You know that. I mean, this has been your life for a while.
Oh,
so
yeah. It always will be. It's always going to be a major part of what I do. So
it's just something you're very passionate about. Now, you mentioned to me. Now, I guess first I should say you currently live in Rochester. You're in the area.
I do.
So you attending Oakland would actually be a great thing for this campus community. I mean, we've got open mic nights and stuff all the time. And you were even talking to me before we came on the air about possibly hosting a show here on WXOU with me.
Right.
Not this show, not the Pit. This is a sports show. And I think we are going to talk about sports here in a minute. Just a little bit.
Certainly.
Nothing too much. It's just, I feel like I'm leaving out a little bit without it,
Oh, yeah.
First half of the show is nothing but sports, and I switch into music, which certainly is not my MO, but if you came here and, hosted your own show, a music show, you'd get to go sit up in the OC and play guitar. I mean, I've been around you when we've done that stuff. You used to do that at the coffee shop up in St. Clair.
That's right.
And there's a coffee shop upstairs.
That's right.
And there's tons of students. And we're going to get to this near the end of the show. But you have a new single called Signs. You're working on a new CD. I'm sure you still got your Speak Clearly stuff, or you could at least get it. You'd be more than able to make a name for yourself here on campus, at least. There have been musicians who've done it, like Drew 32, and just, numerous other ones. I can't name them all off the top of my head, but there's been plenty of them. Even some people here work at this station.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I'm constantly writing and looking at recording a new album in the very near future, possibly prospected maybe my summer or so, maybe even having that out and done. But yeah, definitely, I have a lot of music and I've done a lot of stuff. But
now, I said we were gonna get into sports. It's not gonna be anything too difficult for you, because I think people should know, not only because it's a sports show, but because it pertains to you, that you used to play high school football.
I did, yes. I surprisingly enough, even though I'm not the biggest of the bunch, but yeah, I actually was the captain even of the the Helgonek football team in fall of 2007 there, and yeah, I was a linebacker. I was a defensive linebacker there, and I love football. That's right after music. Football would have to be my definitely my second love after music. So
yep. Now, I think we should talk about this. We went to that Mr. B's in downtown Rochester, and we watched Denver take on Pittsburgh.
Oh boy!
And your brother, Matt, he's a big Pittsburgh fan, and the rest of us just kind of sitting there, we're like, whatever, Yeah, we're all sick of hearing about Tebow, Big Ben. Like I don't remember what that whole thing was about, but. We were watching that, and we were having a good time. We didn't want to leave until the game was over, and it went into overtime. We all got angry and left anyway. But then last weekend, Tebow lost to Tom Brady and the Patriots. That made me happy.
Oh, boy.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we got the playoffs looking like the AFC and NFC championship games look forward to this weekend. But I just want to know how you feel about at least the Tebow thing. That's what I want to know about, because we've mentioned you play in a church band.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Tebow is a big Christian guy. How do you feel about Tim Tebow?
I mean, I feel it just, I guess relating it back to kind of like the music thing, that's obviously where Tim Tebow's passion is. Just as in music, it takes that passion to drive to be a good, in my opinion, a good artist. You need to have that passion. Same thing with football. And that's where Tim Tebow gets his inspiration. And I believe it clearly shows as he plays. He definitely plays well. He's definitely one of the top dogs. So it just depends on where your passion is. I really feel that I'm not against it at all, and I think it's great that he just wears his heart on his sleeve and just says it like it is, and just he's just telling you what his passion is, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just as if we were a music artist, and you'd be writing or singing about your passion. It's the same. They kind of parallel, and but it definitely leads into his sports too. So.
Well, you spoke about passion there, and that leads me to ask about your new single called Signs that we're going to be debuting here at the end of the show. And I just want you to talk about it. Tell us how you came up with the idea to write it, what it's about.
Well, again, I mean, back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, just with all the little stuff in your lives that, as far as music is concerned, that where you get your passion for writing. And Signs is essentially just kind of like a warning to kind of to use every day to look for all the opportunities that are around you, that you can use just to better yourself as a person, and just don't let any of those situations or circumstances pass you by. Originally, the song was going to be entitled "Pass You By," actually. And it ended up backspinning into Signs because I felt that Signs was a little bit more appropriate and kind of hit the point home a little bit harder. So essentially it's just kind of, keeping your eyes on those circumstances and just, using everyone possible and don't miss anything. So
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, we're going to switch over. We're going to play your new single. Are you going to be making this available anytime soon? Maybe on iTunes or something?
It should be. It should be on iTunes soon. Right now I'm looking at recording a new album, like I said, very soon. And this song originally was a single, but I believe I'm probably going to reintroduce it on my new album. So.
All right. So I can keep listeners posted. And we mentioned somewhere in the middle of the segment that you were actually thinking about hopefully trying to volunteer here at WXOU. So if that does happen to work out for us, we can keep listeners informed. So
yep.
They will not be left out. Even if that doesn't happen, they still have me here on the pit. I will keep them updated. But we're going to end the show now. We're going to switch over into the single. And I just want to thank you for coming on, Kevin.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, and then if anybody needs to get in contact with me, you can just go on Facebook. I have a music Facebook. I still have a music MySpace if anyone even uses MySpace anymore.
Old school.
Yeah, and those are good ways if you'd like to get in touch or hear any new music or kind of what I'm working on. The best way is to probably go on Facebook. I have a music page on there. It's just Kevin Spies Music, and you should be able to find it that way. So.
All right, yeah. Now, you heard it from the man himself. If you want to get a hold of him, listen to some of his music, look him up on Facebook. That's what all the creeps are doing these days. That's how I'm going to end this show.
All right.
On a creepy note. Thank you for listening to The Pit. We're going to send you off with Signs.
Please don't leave me by myself tonight. will soon understand.